This is a ballot box question, this election, and you're rallying, you're engaging in our political discourse as a foreigner.
Politics.
Climate change is politics, is it not?
Science.
So is science going to solve it? Would you like a technical solution to climate change, or would you like politicians to solve it?
I'd really appreciate it if you stopped talking to us right now. Sweden?
I've never been to Sweden.
Oh, no?
Is it worth going? I imagine so.
It's worth going, yeah. But it's far. Yeah. And you live here in Elden?
I live in Calgary, actually.
Calgary,
yeah. Can I ask? I'm curious, because Calgary's an oil city.
Yeah.
Why don't you guys go to China or Saudi Arabia? Protest them.
Because right now I'm here and I stopped flying, so to go there, that would have to. But I mean, I went here because I received an invitation to go here. If I received an invitation to go to China, I would of course go to China.
Invitation from who?
I mean, I don't know.
Anyone. She went to North America because the United Nations invited her here.
And then I decided to stay here because of the COP25 in 2 days. Head after this.
Isn't that funny when she says she doesn't know? She's got this guy being a handler telling her, telling the guy, and then she's like, oh yeah, chiming in there. She doesn't even know what she's doing.
Sure, she will get some kind of invitation to China as well.
Fair enough.
And she would definitely go, as well as to India.
Yeah.
India, oh yes, and
as long as you get to the Eurasian continent, it's much easier to get around.
Yeah.
Right now I'm stuck on this continent.
Will you be flying home?
No, I don't know.
Take a boat back?
Yeah.
If it's possible.
Yeah. Do you think that it's appropriate to have a child who you've talked about mental illness and be exploiting it in such a way?
I think we can
taking her around the country, sort of whoever gives you a Tesla. Do you think that that's appropriate when you've talked about Greta's mental illness?
I have a mental illness.
So you don't have severe autism? That's sort of was the. So you think that it's completely acceptable to be bringing a 16-year-old across the country?
I brought him, actually.
Yeah. So will you be disclosing your finances? Will you be telling us who is paying for your trip, your Tesla, and bringing you to our country?
Oh, it makes much more sense now why she is the way she is. Interesting. Okay.
In the middle of an election?
Thank you very much.
You're paying for everything. You pay for the Tesla?
You bought the Tesla for free.
You borrowed the Tesla for free from New York.
Yeah,
have you registered as a third-party advertiser coming to this country in the middle of an election period? It's the middle of an election, you understand that. Have you registered as a third-party advertiser?
I'm sure she will not talk about the elections at all.
I will not. I have never mentioned the election.
You understand that climate change is a pivotal policy, is a ballot box question in this election.
Right now, so
This is a ballot box question in this election, and you're rallying, you're engaging in our political discourse as a foreigner.
Politics.
Climate change is politics, is it not?
Science.
So is science going to solve it? Would you like a technical solution to climate change, or would you like politicians to solve it?
I'd really appreciate it if you stopped talking to us right now. We have a meeting, and this is
So you're engaging in political discourse in a foreign country as a foreigner.
Thank you very much.
Will you be?
This is also slightly harassing, and I do have police contacts if needs be. So
will you be disclosing your finances, and will you be registering as a third-party operative? Will you be registering as a third-party operative?
Please, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, that was certainly interesting, wasn't it? She's from Sweden, but she sounds like she's British. Me being honest, I thought if I wouldn't have read her bio, I wouldn't have never thought she'd be from Sweden. It's interesting. So she's going around the world talking about quote-unquote climate change, which isn't really doing much of anything. And she has, it seems, disabilities. Or a disability. And she has handlers. And she's 16 years old. So she's being fed shitty information from grown adults. And this is what I talked about before. Whether she has mental disability or not, your children are supposed to be raised a certain way, and when you're indoctrinating children at a young age and they grow up and you keep talking the way you do, you really make them believe it's happening. Because I'll tell you one thing. When I grew up, and when I was growing up, back in the 90s, we'll say the late 80s, early 90s, I never really noticed any change. I know October, for me, is a transitional month, and November is when it kicks off, when it starts getting really cold. And that's never really changed. I mean, we've had one Halloween since I was a kid, since I had my kids, that was warm. Every Halloween I can remember, it was either raining or really damn cold. Now, if I look at the weather network, it's going to be 8 degrees. But that'll get colder once the sun goes down. I do believe in chemtrails. I do believe that they are changing the atmosphere, but not for weather. I believe it's for something more sinister than killing you. I believe it's for the end time stuff that I've talked about before. Whether you like it or not, it's truth. You keep feeding it to people. You keep feeding and feeding and feeding, and eventually they start eating it because they don't have a choice. People pay too much attention to the media, and I give this guy props for asking questions. All right, guys? Now, I will not be getting into any more videos about the person I talked about earlier today, and do not do not comment in my crap, because it's not going to get approved. You don't want me to talk about you? Cool. Then go away. Comment, like, and or subscribe, guys. Peace!